at Michigan, he's running the building. He's running the football department at Michigan. Just like Nick Saban is at Alabama, Kirby Smart is at Georgia.
The GM and
like
the
what the Raiders did for Gruden.
Will the Chicago Bills, Lord have mercy, will the Chicago Bears allow him to have full control like a John Gruden when he took over the Raiders? Buck stops here.
Given the kind of dysfunction of the upper management in Chicago, seems to me that that's the best course of action. Get a football person that not only you trust, but that the world agrees is really good, and let him buy the groceries and cook the food.
But you got to remember, when they let him cook the food in San Francisco, they went to the Super Bowl.
No doubt.
But they wouldn't let him buy the groceries, so that's why things fell apart with Trent Baalke, Jay.
Well, the question is, do you think McCaskey and company will allow somebody the autonomy to actually do that?
They're probably going to have to, because most coaches of his pedigree and his age, and he's been there and done it, when they get back in it, they want full control. It's like,
either I'm going to do it like this or I'm not going to do it.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? And I talk about Mara in New York. It actually is the easiest way. It makes your life easier, right? But also the easiest way to have a fan base love you is to step out of the way. Like when you have,
just get out the way.
The fans want to love you. They don't want to hate you. They want to love you. I mean, ownership of the franchise. They want you to be successful, right? So let me tell you why the Bears is actually the best opening right now to me, in spite of the dysfunction of upper management to this point.
Tell me.
Number one, there are some franchises in professional sports in this country that are just different. They have a history. They're in a major market. They resonate with the sport, like the Bears. Sounds like football, original franchise. You know, the way the Packers are the frozen tundra, right? The Bears are the same thing. They have the greatest team of all time. People can debate it, but like when people say greatest football team of all time, 85 Bears is what that means. Whether or not you agree they were actually, that's what the brand of the 85 Bears, right? And because it's been that long since they've won, they got the thirstiest fan base of a football-obsessed town. And it's not like New York where you got two teams dividing the fan base, or LA where you got, you
only got one.
Multiple. You got one. So to me, that job, then the only question is, do they have a quarterback? And in my opinion, and it's too early to tell, I think Justin Fields has the potential to be a great quarterback. To me, that's the job, Key.
It is a job. It is one desirable job. There's no question about it, of all the openings that's there. Many things that you said. Fan base, loyal fan base. You win there. I worked with Mike Ditka for about 10 years here at ESPN. I mean, Coach Dick, come on. Seriously, like.
They carried Buddy Ryan off the field.
Some would argue bigger than Michael Jordan in Chicago. Some would argue that. So but for me, when I'm looking at it, like Coach Parcells said, can I align myself with the general manager? Can I get the right personnel? Is there a quarterback that's there? You don't know about the quarterback, neither do I. But what I do know is that the Las Vegas Raiders is one of those brands that we talk about no matter what. That brand crosses everywhere. They got a quarterback, okay? They got a defensive front. They got a running back. They are now in the playoffs. And I'm using them as an example because the job is not permanently Rich Bisaccia is. It is an opening.
Warm weather market, desirable
no taxes,
market.
Warm weather market.
Taxes,
glamour market.
Well,
there it is.
I had to do that for Mike Tannenbaum. But when you look at it, you got an established Carr is young. He's not an old quarterback. He is right
in his
there,
prime.
In his prime.
Yeah.
So you got that. Raiders. And it's not a hard fix. The only thing that I would do if I took over the Raiders right now, I'd go get me a big-time playmaking wide receiver, a Devontae Adams or whoever. I'll find me one.
Draft one if you got to.
I'll find one, whoever it is. I'll get me one of those, maybe two. I got Hunter Renfrow. I got Zay Jones in there.
Got Darren Waller.
Got Darren Waller at the tight end. Jacobs at the running back spot. I need to find me some secondary help because the secondary is a little suspect. So I need to find some secondary help. And I'm good.
Yeah.
But see,
it's an easy fix.
Yeah, I like the Raiders. I would probably choose the Raiders number one. I didn't put them in the category because as of right now, they still do have a head coach, even though I think we know it's going to happen. But I just want to go back to your point about Chicago, because I think Chicago's definitely up there. But you did lead off your entire breakdown about why Chicago will be your best pick by saying, despite upper management disorganization.
Yeah, dysfunction.
Dysfunction, right? So I think that factors in. I go to Minnesota, guys. And I know there's cap restrictions there, obviously, with some challenges around Kirk. But you got talented roster, man. Like between you think about Dalvin Cook, between Justin Jefferson, between Thielen, the way they play, their defense is solid. And you have patient ownership. So Kirk Cousins is not like he's a horrible quarterback. I know you guys aren't on him.
No, he's solid.
And he's not $35 million with the quarterback, but you can sign him to an extension to kind of relieve that if you are going to keep him. Relieve that cap restriction.
You know, I'll say this about the Bears. I hear you. I think you're both making good cases. The Bears, like Key brings up, you could argue Ditka was bigger than Jordan in Chicago. Understand.
Some people would say
Understand. Buddy Ryan was carried off the field because within the team, they were like, this dude's at least as much responsible as the head coach, right?
Well, yeah.
But Ditka became so popular, so mythological in this country that do you remember an SNL skit? You remember Saturday Night Live had that skit, The Bears? Remember that? Okay.
Bears.
Well, there was one time Michael Jordan was hosting SNL. And so they had him in the Bears skit, right? And in that skit, in the middle of basically a six-peat for the Bulls, they were talking about what would happen if Ditka faced Jordan. And they said the universe would explode. They couldn't decide. So a dude who only ever won one championship and his D coordinator was carried off the field versus the greatest athlete who ever lived, and it was like a tie. If you win a Super Bowl in Chicago,
I don't think it would ever be a tie.
Of course. But my point is,
they're not in the same conversation.
but that's my point.
Let's not even building this argument.
But that's my point, Jay.
I understand Ditka is a legend. I get it. This is not debasing Ditka, but he's not in the same breath as Michael
Of
Jordan.
course not. That's the point.
Chicago.
I know, but this man's saying
No,
tie.
Jay.
I can't let that happen.
Jay. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.